Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this session, we are going to hold a panel discussion on the topic of From Hype to Reality, navigating the practical implementation of generative AI or GAI in business. So, I hope that all of you have heard at least the buzzword, artificial intelligence, but still, I would like Dr. Wali Saab first to briefly describe what is artificial intelligence and what is the difference between conventional artificial intelligence and the generative artificial intelligence.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I think it's a buzzword right now. Everywhere, if you look around, it's AI. And the next thing after ChatGPT, everybody is talking about generative AI. So it's AI, if you look back at, way back, the concept was given as that if something, the machine works like a human being, and it is as intelligent as what we do as a human, it's called the artificial intelligence. How the machine will act and take the decisions like what we do as a human. Now, what's the difference between generative AI and what's the artificial intelligence? So, artificial intelligence, as pointed out, it's previously what we had to do is the data and then label it, and then we get train that model, machine learning systems, and then accordingly we classify different scenarios, give suggestions, and so on. But right now, we have gone one step further. It's about generative AI, and it was there previously, but now it has become familiar after ChatGPT and Bard. So it has gone one step ahead, and it is giving you it generates the things. Like what we do is if we have a knowledge, we generate things. If you are given me write the essay, I think about it and write it as a new essay, I'm generating that essay. So based on the knowledge we have and based on certain things like sentiments and interactions and so on, taking all those accounts, I write the piece of text or whatever it is from my side. Same thing is happening. Previously it was just a labeled data and making the decisions, artificial intelligence is working on those. But now it is going ahead and generating the things based on the data available. And it's not just a simple data, it's billions of data points available throughout the net and throughout wherever it is available. Taking those information. We are adding one more thing is about the sentiments, about the culture, and adding those parameters also in that, taking the decisions. So it is becoming more and more like a human being taking decisions, making that, giving the outputs according to that. So it has definitely a great potential in everything, especially in the business, and what we see is that generative AI. And the next step is after generating AI, which is working on is the AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. It's again the high level for generative AI, which will include more multitasking, thinking, working in the different ways with taking the decisions, taking the lot of scenarios into account. So things are more getting deeper and deeper in that particular side.
Intelligence, artificial or intelligence, whatever, and generating intelligence, you have to read and understand human brain, how it works, and the memory it works. In a layman terms, I would like to explain it very simply that a human brain have experience and started collecting data over a period of whatever age you are. Good experiences, bad experiences, that is called data bank for your own memory. And this makes you artificially, not but intelligent. So artificial intelligence in computer science is that whatever you are giving data from Facebook, from YouTube, or blah, blah, it collects and then it becomes artificial intelligence, garbage in, garbage out. So still human brain will be required to analyze it. Now generating AI is something that once you have a data in your brain, and I ask you a question, like Zubair asked a question from sir, then he started generating intelligence because he has a data behind, he's collecting and putting his own views at this present moment of time. So that is called, in my opinion, what I understood is generating artificial intelligence, not artificial, even intelligence is generated. So, but now computer takes the data all over. When you ask a question, it takes data in a microsecond or nanosecond, all data, which is because it is more efficient and very fast as compared to our mind. So it takes all the data and generate an artificial intelligence answer, so that like a G.
But the question is that Dr. Saab said and you said that generating AI is basically has the capability of generating various possible alternatives and has the capability to have some decision or to reach at some decision. Now the question is that can generative AI be superseded with this natural intelligence of human being? Can human being be lagging with this particular generative AI, or it is possible or not?
May I?
Yes, you are. And then Humayun Saab.
It's very simple. Generating AI, artificial intelligence is very fast. So the only negative side is once you click a button, before you will find out that now I don't want this thing to be done, it will be done. So that is generating AI means you have given a data, you have given a question, and question is solved. Before you think, no, I don't want this thing. So you have to either, but if it is a command, then the fire is done, the goalie is out. So now you can't get it back, the arrow. It is gone.
This is related with the speed.
Speed only. That
Only
is.
speed.
Otherwise, if you can have a time and you have a delay, you can correct your. It's all command. GPT is also what answer. If you give a wrong command, you will get a wrong answer. Simple is. And then human generating intelligence is that he also thinks, or a person also thinks when, like he thought and he has a difference of opinion, or I have a difference of opinion with this. It means I have different experience, he has some different experience, and we are giving analytical answer, which generating AI also will do, because it will take all the data from the difference. The difference is I have my own data and something to whom I interacted, but in artificial intelligence, the computer is interacting with billions and trillions of data. Your data is also there, my data is there, all which we are sitting. And then it can relate to all this and find a answer which you give a command, and they will give you an opinion or answer to your question. It can be done like this. But human is only the data what you are putting into the, what you are giving to the computer is depending how intelligent the human brain is, who's using that.
Okay. Humayun Saab, let me put my question in some other phrase. The very basic question is that what is the prime difference between the artificial intelligence and the real intelligence given by God to human being, other than the memorization capacity and the speed of processing? Other than these two aspects, is there any prime difference between the artificial intelligence and the real intelligence?
Thank you very much. Let me first answer the question you asked previously: will the artificial intelligence supersede human intelligence or not? In a way, I will say yes, it will. And it depends how you translate intelligence. Because if you see today among the audience, how many people remember the table of 12, 13, or 14, or 15. They don't. Most of them probably they don't know that. At least I don't. But about 30, 40 years ago, people used to remember all these tables. If you want to call this intelligence, then yes, the computer, the calculator has overtaken that intelligence from human beings to itself. Now everybody is reverting to the calculator to do small calculations. Before that, all these calculations were done, were done in the mind, mentally. So in that way, yes, artificial intelligence is going to supersede the human intelligence. Okay, now to the next question. Artificial intelligence and natural intelligence, I think this is to distinguish between the machine and the human being. The intelligence which is possessed by the human being is mostly we call that natural intelligence or human intelligence, and the intelligence that we inject or invoke into a machine or computer is called artificial intelligence, just to distinguish. But basically, as Vajasa mentioned, that is the same thing. The repository that we had or we have in our mind is now transferred onto the computers and machines. And we have allowed them to do things. It has been an evolution. Before that, whenever you want to ask a question or information, you put a query into a database and you get the answer. But that was very, very specific query, and that was a very specific answer. Then it evolved, and then it started giving intuitive answers. Intuitive answers is that depending upon the circumstances and the previous questions, they would modify the answers that you ask and elaborate them accordingly, that you have been asking such kind of questions. So that is the artificial intelligence, which is intelligence based in built into the machines and systems. It has gone to further things now, generative AI. And generative AI is that it is a next level to the intuition also. Okay, these things are done, have been happening, and your question is like this one. So it has got a vast repository, and it pulls out all that relevant information and presents it in a different way which matches what you have asked. And the most important thing is that it depends upon, and I think Vajasa also mentioned, that is the question that you ask. What question are you asking? And in generative AI thing, it's called prompt. And by the way, the next most important field of study is, for the next 5 to 10 years, is prompt engineering. And people are being paid heavily for doing prompt engineering. It is a specific skill that what type of questions and query you put to the chat GPT or any other generative AI, so that it gives you the comprehensive answer. And it very much depends on that because of the interpretation. The next level, which the generative AI has not reached yet, but is soon to reach, is nuances, how to understand the nuances, language nuances and other nuances, which human being, when we talk to each other, we know the nuances. For example, if you ask me a question and you say, I find it funny, so I'll reply to you, Acha. But if I say, you tell me something, I say, Acha. There are two different nuances. You understand what that nuance is. Machine
because
does not.
Natural language processor.
Exactly. But that level is soon coming to that. And some people have been asking about the emotional intelligence. I believe in the next 5 years' time, the generative AI will have the emotional intelligence capabilities as well.
That's exactly what I was asking to Vajaz Saab and to Wali Saab. Now I put the same question to Dr. Muqati, that is there any possibility that this this artificial intelligence will succeed or will go ahead with this natural intelligence, because there are so many things, generative AI and blah blah blah. So what is your opinion, sir? And then Suhail Saab again.
Thank you very much. Well, your first question which you asked to Suhail Vajaz Saab, okay, will artificial intelligence supersede human intelligence?
Yes.
I would like to briefly explain for the purpose of knowledge to all the audience. You know, there are 3 generations already defined for artificial intelligence, already defined. The current generation in which we are, that is called ANN, Artificial Narrow Network. In 5 to 10 years' time, we will be having another generation that will be called AGN, Artificial General Network. And in 10 to 20 years' time, that will be Artificial Super Network, ASN. These are the 3 generations defined. Now, in the current generations in which we are, here we can compare HI, human intelligence, versus artificial intelligence. At this moment, HI is far superior than AI, of course. But the next generation, that is just after 5 and maybe before that, it depends on the progress. The next generation, and you know that primarily artificial intelligence is an offshoot of neural networks and neurosciences and everything. So 40 years back when I was doing my master's and PhD in Boston University, so where we had a huge neural networks lab at Boston. And one of my roommate was doing masters in neural science, neural networks. So I used to ask questions that what is the ultimate of this? So he used to mention that ultimate of this will be the artificial intelligence. So at that time it seemed to be, something strange. But now we are seeing that actually we have reached to this situation. Now regarding the question that will it supersede? You see, it depends. It depends. For example, and there are many things which are related to the societal issues, society issues, social sciences issues. I will come to this point later on. But like my colleague gave the example that 40, 50 years ago when people used to remember the tables, then after that people used to begin to use calculators. So they are not memorizing so many things, and they are dependent on the calculators. Similarly, it all depends on the human behavior or human attitude, that how much they want to depend on AI. So it will not be the advancement of AI, but it will be the decay of the human intelligence.
Our ease.
Our ease.
Right.
So as much as we begin to depend on AI, then perhaps our natural capability will go down. So
Okay.
in a way we can say there will be superior, but I'm afraid that when this situation will come, it will be disaster. One example, very big, little example. After that, you can take the other questions. In the second generation, what we call AGN, Artificial General Network, where HI and AI will compete with each other. At the moment, HI is superior. In the third generation, AI will be superior than HI. But it all depends what I have just said. In the AGN, Artificial General Network, what will happen? When HI and AI will be, competing with each other, then a situation may come where we have the AI system which can read your minds.
Yes.
Which can read your minds. It means for Pakistanis it will be very difficult to do the hypocrisy. Then somebody...
So it will not be disaster, it will be blessing.
It will be disaster. It may correct our society, but we will have to leave the hypocrisy. Because system in front of you will be telling that the person to whom you are talking has different thing in mind, and on the lips, something else on the lips. So that will be creating a problem for the society.
Right. जी सुहेल साहब आप ऐड करना
I
चाह
would
रहे
like to add only 2 sentences. One is artificial intelligence or generated, they cannot differentiate between information and knowledge. Human brain is capable of converting information into a ilm, which I don't know knowledge is equal to ilm or not, because you are a scholar on this. So whatever, for example, I read Quran Sharif and I interpret and I get another answer from myself. If we go into the tafsir, because you are already very much into Islamic thing, so if you Ghamdi says this thing and Maududi says that thing and that thing, so it means they have intelligence which is depending on my thinking process, which is natural. So information and knowledge, I think artificial intelligence generative may be supra artificial or generative, and may create it after 50 years or 100, when, as my colleague said, that politicians will be in problem because what they say, they don't mean it at all. So if the human minds are being read, so at least we all citizens will be very happy. But that is a good part of it. But second thing is that it is whatever artificial intelligence is generative or whatever name you give, ANP, PNP, GNP, doesn't matter, because who created the creator is always important. Who
Yes.
create the artificial intelligence?
Human being.
Then who created the general artificial? Who will create this narrow? Who will create this general? Who will create the super? And then who is going to get the supra? So it is all your human brain. So it's still you are the creator. So God has created you. You were not that intelligent when you were created by Adam and having a Hawa with you. You don't even know how to put the grave, Habil and Kabil.
Yes.
So understand the history and human evolution or advancement in knowledge is because the supra intelligent entity or whatever you call it, Allah, has created and given you certain information in Quran, Bible, blah, 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 and Torah and this. And then human mind started behaving and generating this data into it and learning out of how many millions or billions of years. And known history is from Pharaoh to this time. So that is, so still, in my personal opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe after 10 years I will change my, if I live, I will change my thinking process. That still human will be commanding this, whatever we will create. Because you cannot go beyond the creator. We as God has created, but we created atom bomb. So destruction is there. You see, you understand. So,
I understand.
So artificial intelligence may create something which will destroy a lot of people. But who created this? Allah didn't create it. Allah created this artificial intelligence, which I call in front of Allah as artificial intelligence.
Okay.
God knows everything. So this is for normal, non-technical people to understand that the creator will always be super than whatever he has created. जो रब है वो रब है, जो खालिक है वो असल मालिक है. We are all living on lease. Our house, we say, somebody asked me, what is your permanent address? मैंने कहा, present address I can give you, the permanent address is yet to be known.
Dr. Wali Saab, how do you see, sir, the gap between the academia research on generative AI and the industry?
If you look throughout the world, I think it's working. There's a lot of working has been done because the real side of this application is the industry. Because whatever we do at the university has to come to the, basically the, apply to the businesses. And if you see a lot of things which has, like I was using the mobile and I was typing one thing and I got in a lot of things related to those about the videos or the images. So we have seen this long time back. So it's now the one thing which is coming up is just to highlight is about the driverless car system. It's again a Gen AI application, and it will going to change the whole scenario in next 5 years. Because I think if you look at the number of cars available and the people used to drive that. So, and it's not just about one technology which will be used, it will be about a lot of things. It's about the how manufacturing of the car, the machines, the motors, and how the public will going to use it. So it's a number of things. So all the things, whatever is done in the research in the universities has to come to the businesses, and that is happening. But up till now, it was happening at the big businesses. They are doing a lot of things related with the basic things. AI is being used or generative right now it's being used for the big businesses. The next wave is to come down, and that smaller businesses without the knowledge of expertise of the IT people or the engineering people, they should be able to use it. And like as pointed out by the prompt, as pointed out that prompt engineering. Now we have the cases in which that generative AI will be used, like we require a lot of data for generative AI, for training of the purposes. And now the work is being done at the level that we have a smaller data like Pizza Hut, pizza system, that they can find out about how it's there being prepared, it's cooked properly. So that it's up to that level. So there is a lot of potential in that particular area, and people are working on those so that they write that the prompt and how to perform those things, besides going through having the experts available to them to make that particular program. And that will going to change the total scenario, how the business will going to work. It's not just about the textile manufacturing is there, it's a lot of other businesses, financial law firms are there, a lot of things. So if they come at that particular level, and what I see in Pakistan, definitely there's a lot of work is going on, like Watson is there for the law firms in America. Similarly, medical applications are there in which they can get the advices from those. But there is a huge gap, I think, in the Pakistan. One thing, it's again problem from both of the sides. It's like our faculty and our students are not prepared accordingly to grasp what's happening at that level. What we are doing at the university level, I confess over here, is we are having the courses in the artificial intelligence or so on. And first thing is we don't go to the level that we go first for the use as a tool. That use this tool, they don't have the basic understanding how if we change that and apply to the next scenario, different scenario. So that's the level we have to go. And industry has to put in because they require the resources. So industry has to see, the business has to see that's not a giving as a donation or anything, it's an investment if they put the money in the universities, it's an investment. And they will going to get in the return because the economic impact, because what I see is that whatever the field you will take, it will be affected. And the people who are going to be affected is the ages between 30 to 50 years of age. And that's a basic, because the new generation will cope up. But the gap, and the real businesses are run by those people.
राइट सर, हुमायूं साहब के पास आऊँगा. हुमायूं साहब, सोहेल साहब बता रहे हैं कि हम तख्ती पर हैं. Do you agree with this? Number one. Number two, he said that there are 3 ingredients, and तीनों ingredients की इन्होंने जो है वो बता दिया कि क्या क्या lacking है. So do you agree that industry has this particular problem which he mentioned, Dr. Sohail Wajad साहब mentioned?
First thing is that कि हम तख्ती पर हैं कि नहीं है. Actually पाकिस्तान में इस वक्त डिजिटल डिवाइड बहुत ह्यूज है. दुनिया के जो कम तरीन ममालिक हैं, सबसे नीचे वाले, पाकिस्तान उसमें आ रहा है डिजिटल डिवाइड के हिसाब से.
डिजिटल डिवाइड को ज़रा एक्सप्लेन कर देंगे आप?
ओके, डिजिटल डिवाइड जो है वो ये है, आई थिंक आई शुड बी स्पीकिंग इन इंग्लिश. Digital divide is that there are companies or entities or people or segments of societies which are using the automation and computerization to the highest potential and at the highest level. And there are others who are still using takhtis and they want to give away with their cash register. There's a huge gap, big gap. It's there in the other parts of the world, but here I think it's deliberate as well, because many people are benefiting because of that. So that difference is there. And the second point, the question that you asked is about what Sohail Saab mentioned, is very rightly mentioned, the three pillars of these things. The regulator, facilitator, which is the government, the industry, and the academia. And they, all three of them, except for the government, they have their own reasons for that. Government has totally different agenda there, because as you said, there are different policies which are conflicting and contradicting each other. And in many cases, we do not even have policies. As I was talking to Dr. Wali just before this thing, is that many countries of the world who are leading, they have adopted policies, they have developed policies, framework for AI, for cloud computing, for information security. We do not even have a proper digital policy document. It was first created and prepared in early 2000s. I was luckily or unluckily part of that committee which was entrusted to formulate that, but that never got put into practice. And it's a policy framework. There are many other things that need to be developed around that policy. Second thing about the industry, as again Sohail Saab mentioned rightly, why do industries work? Because of profit. They want to do some profit thing. When you are doing profit, you try to minimize your risk in the business and whatever work you do. So whenever there's a new technology, there are some risks involved in that. So they do not want to adopt the newest technology. They don't jump into that because they first want to determine what the risks are. And whenever there are risks, there are some conflicts, and conflict needs to be resolved. For resolving those conflicts, there have to be a legal framework, regulatory framework, and some policy framework. In the absence of that, there's going to be a chaos. Everybody's going to do his own way. And that'll create more problem, and that probably will dissipate their profit-making capacity of the industry. Now, this gap between these capabilities, that capability gap needs to be filled by the academia. But again, I think Sohail Saab mentioned that if there are not enough people to teach that subject, they will not teach that subject which is necessary. They will teach the subject where they can enroll more students and they have the faculty to teach those subjects. So that capability gap that needs to be filled is not being filled. So there are multiple problems that we need to attend to, and I think it's high time, and we are lagging behind a lot, and we are retarding actually. So we need to fill that capability gap as soon as we can, and we have to do some collective efforts for that.
Right.
Thank you.
Humayun Saab, basically I am from academia, but right now I am moderating this session, so I'm not replying you. But I will come to Dr. Muqati Saab. Dr. Saab, as Sohail Wajaz Saab said and Humayun Saab said that the academia जो है वो वही आप पढ़ाएगा जो कि उसमें जिस ज़्यादा enrollment आएगी और वो जो है वो industry को नहीं देखेगा. Do you think this is the right observation, or you think that academia itself is regulated by some regulator, Higher Education Commission and Pakistan Engineering Council and etc. etc. So we are not free to teach anything and everything we are interested in, but we have to follow the regulation and rules and regulation, all other things. Ji, Muqati Saab.
Well, first of all, before I answer your questions, because that is pertinent to academia, when you talk about regenerative AI, so please don't forget that it is based on training. You train the system, what is called machine learning or deep machine learning and whatever. It's like a child. आप बच्चे को जैसा ट्रेन करेंगे बड़ा होके वो उसी तरह का एटीट्यूड दिखाएगा. So I'm afraid the misuse of the regenerative AI, because if somebody or some system or some company or some organization do the machine learning through some biased data, or the data is negative, so definitely it is going to respond to you accordingly. It will not be the fair answer or natural reply. So that is the type of problem which I can foresee. that people may misuse this regenerative AI by learning the machine through the bad data or the biased data. This is one thing. Now, as far as academia is concerned, at least I am happy that since I used to receive hundreds of emails on my computer every day, all my deans, all my HODs, all my program, everybody is sending the email to me. But now I see a lot of progress that previously I used to find 10 mistakes in 2 sentences. Now everything seems to be very perfect. And, the sentences are so much, fascinating. I asked one of my colleague, I will not take his name, I used to ask, your paragraphs were containing so many mistakes earlier, and all of a sudden, you got an excellent expert in English. So I came to know that it is because of ChatGPT. So this is one thing. The second thing is definitely it is giving me a problem as well, because people are submitting the synopses and people are submitting the research reports, and they just give the key points to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT makes all the paragraphs and everything in a very fancy manner. But one thing should we know, or we should know, that after all, if somebody has completely dependent on ChatGPT, or nowadays Perplexity, that is more advanced version. So, but one can pick up. The human intelligence is still superior. So one can pick up that this is the outcome of that thing. So the best way to do is that get the help of ChatGPT, but apply your own, brain as well. Now, as far as my colleague Sohail Bajaj Saab, Dr. Sohail Bajaj Saab, by the way, we were colleagues at Daud Engineering College as well. You see, like he said, कि जो खालिक है वो मालिक है, वो बात fact है, that is fact. But you see, human beings have limitations also. मुझसे आप कहें कि जी मुझे 10 किलोमीटर के बाद मुझे किसी जगह जाना है, तो I cannot go on my foot. I use the car. I use the car. Similarly, I cannot think so rapidly as the computer can.
Processing speed.
Processing speed, yes. So that's where the computer has got the benefit or advantage. So my understanding about AI so far, that if we use AI as a tool, then it is going to help us a lot. But if you begin to depend on AI, what it is saying that is okay, then it will be a disaster for the human being. So my message is that in every walk of life, whether academia or industry or anything, anywhere else, don't too much depend on AI. Now, if you ask me very simple calculations, perhaps I will have to use calculator. So I am totally dependent now. Even I went to some country where the receptionist was calculating my bill. So 2 plus 2, 4. So she wanted to confirm through the calculator whether it is 2 plus 2, 4 or not. So that sort of dependency is everywhere disastrous. Don't depend on it. Use AI as a tool to support your work and everything.
But do you agree, sir, one minute. Do you agree that academia is not producing the students as per the demand of industry? Or you agree with this?
I partially agree. The reason is, since I know I have started the 4-year program BS in Artificial Intelligence at Zapist University, and certainly the tools and laboratories that is actually required, I have produced, we have given a lab, Dr. Sajjad, head of department, is sitting here, we have given an AI lab, but only the GPU-based computers are not enough. There are hundreds of different tools that have been developed in the world to support or to make you understand about the AI, which unfortunately we can't buy because those are too expensive. So partially, yes, we are providing, or we are giving the knowledge, new knowledge to our students, but at the same time we have the limitations. So if we truly implement this AI, then we can compete anywhere in the world.
Okay, thank you. Sir, फिर आप ऐड कर दीजिएगा.
2-3 बातें ऐड करना चाहूँगा.
जी.
We only teach what is available. We are reactive, not proactive.
Reactive approach.
And when I appeared in first and second and third semester, then they say, why don't you go? Your mind is working in the direction. This was a supervisor, Dr. Watkins told me, you should attend cybernetics and robotics, which was actually at that time name of artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
There was no artificial intelligence name. So I did my master's in robotics and cybernetics, and my thesis is on the same. At that time, I created artificial intelligence of firefighting system in a huge building. That was my thesis, on which I got my MPhil, blah, 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 blah. So now, this is proactive. What I want, this is what I mean. And there, our academia is a profit center. Nowhere in the world academia is a profit center. Even Harvard is not a profit center. Even Stanford is not a profit center. Even Imperial College is not a profit center. They work on endowment funds. Look at their universities, how they work. So let's talk facts. We are here to these people to understand what is the lacking of our knowledge. Second चीज़ जो है वो ये है कि अब जब हमने इसे प्रॉफिट सेंटर बना दिया तो डेफिनेटली लोग वही काम करेंगे
जिसके लिए
प्रॉफिट होगा.
Right.
तो education and health is not an industry. It's a social work. So you have to be proactive. The best minds, intelligent minds should be there. Then second चीज़ is कि पॉलिसी का अब मैं सॉल्यूशंस पे आ जाऊँ इन सारी चीज़ों में. पॉलिसी का मसला ये है कि पॉलिसी में हमें काइजन का रूल इस्तेमाल करना होगा. Those who don't know what is Kaizen is a Japanese way of working that the lowest in the hierarchy should give their opinion also. And then it goes to the up, and then makes some understanding. So it is bottom up and top down.
Top down.
Everybody is on the same page. Then policy is right. Because if you make a policy in this air conditioning room for a layari, it won't work. वो कहेगा जी हमें तो खाने को नहीं मिल रहा, आप क्या बातें कर रहे हैं. So that's very important. Then policy making में Kaizen का rule इस्तेमाल करें, and there they can use this artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, creating a policy where the contradiction is, it will immediately find that this policy is contradicting that policy. So use this tool. Still खालिक और मालिक में हर एक में लिमिटेशन होती है. खालिक में लिमिटेशन नहीं होगी, हमेशा लिमिटेशन आएगी जो आप
क्रिएशन में.
तो इस तरह हम में भी लिमिटेशन है. हमारे खालिक ने हमने बनाया तो हम लिमिटेड हैं. इसी तरह हम जो बनाएंगे वो भी कहीं ना कहीं जाके फेल होगा. इसी तरह वो हमें वो हमें टेक ओवर नहीं कर लेगा जो भी हम बनाएंगे. ये हमेशा का रूल है, ये मेरा नहीं, डिवाइन रूल है. तो देन द सेकंड, बिकॉज हज़रत मूसा से उसने कहा जी मैं खुदा हूँ, मानो नहीं मानो, तो डिवाइन रूल आ गया, उसने कहा ख़त्म हो गया. टेक्नोलॉजी तो सारी थी ना उसके पास, फ़िरौन के पास. सो द सेकंड, so this is the solution for the government to use generative and academia to make their policy according, and then the policy of education should be made according to that policy, that in future we will going to teach like this, according to that requirement which is 50 years beyond.
I wish कि कोई government representative यहाँ होता. I wish कि होता कोई.
This is what I have been in those meetings and sitting and talking the same language what I am talking here. I am not a person कि मेरे मुंह से कुछ निकल रहा, दिमाग में कुछ है, इसलिए मुझे लोग पसंद नहीं करते. So that's all.
जी हुमायूं साहब पहले ऐड कर, फिर आप.
बेसिकली मैं ऐड करना चाहता, जो डॉक्टर मुगादी ने एक बात कही थी कि जब हम चैट जनरेटिव एआई की बात कर रहे होते हैं, उसमें एक बहुत वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर दैट वी टू कंसिडर इज इट्स all its decisions and outputs are based on the data that it has got. Now there's the most advanced enterprises in the world, they are very skeptic of the generative AI. And why is that? It's because of the data. They have done some surveys, especially because of the civil society organizations. They say the current data that has been collected by all the generative AI engines, that data is very biased. And especially there's a trend about the gender equality thing is a very hype thing now in the Western countries. So they say especially the gender related data is very biased on all the generative AI databases. So they don't want to depend on the results and outcomes of the generative AI totally and blindly. They want to exercise some kind of their own reservations, and they're seeing, okay, what should be accepted and what should not be accepted. And the next question is that because of that, some of the generative AI creating agencies, firms or enterprises have started massaging the data, which is considered to be a great sin, by anybody who is depositing or collecting the data. Data massaging is the big crime. And some of the agencies, generative AI agencies, have started massaging the data so that they can satisfy some of these top users of generative AI. So they are in a catch-22 kind of situations. So yes, as I think Dr. Mughadi mentioned that whenever using generative AI, those who are using it, they have to use their own judgment as well. Yes. Like he said, Khalik has created us, and we have to decide which part of it to be accepted and based on decision on that. Right. That's my bit.
Yes, Wali Saab.
I want to talk about what you said about the regulations by the higher education commissions and
Yes.
the other councils on university. Yeah, so I wanted to highlight, because as we see for the other businesses, with AI, what we see is that education sector is changing drastically. When I was learning, the source of information is from, one is the teacher and other was a book. Now, it's a other way around. It's a lot of information is available outside of the classroom than within the classroom. So now with the artificial intelligence, what we have seen is that like one person giving lectures to thousands of students, and now they have the assistants, AI assistants who is grading, who is doing all the things. So things has changed. And the dimensions of different courses require different expertise has changed. We have a regulations that if we start a certain program, we have to have that particular degree in that particular program. Otherwise, we will not going to start the programs. And what we see is that for variations of the things which will going to come up in coming years, and we don't know what type of jobs will be there, what type of programs we have to offer, what are the courses within that particular program we have to change very quickly. So that type of regulations, and what we see is that the campuses in the brick and mortars, bricks, wall bricks, it will going to change. The concept of the department-wise, that ये program is department में हो रहा है, that concept will be going to be changed very soon. Unless we are prepared for those changes, we will not going to adapt that much quickly the requirement what is according to the changes what we are going to have in the coming years. So university, I was talking with him. One day I getting the message from Senate, ये कर दे course के अंदर. Other day I am getting from the Sindh HEC, ये कर दे इस course के अंदर. Other day HEC, ये वाला course डाल दें, इसको course को निकाल दें. These are the things we are bounding. We are not giving independence to the university. So how they will going to adopt to those changes which is required? कभी सिंध असेंबली की तरफ से आ जाता है, कभी जो है वो पंजाब उसके जो सेनेट की तरफ आ जाता है, कभी. So everybody wants to have a control over that university, and that is otherwise we are bounding more and more, and we want to see that we should be progressive, adaptive, and we are binding those. We are binding our brains. We are not like the HEC is giving the curriculum. तो हमारी जो है कि भाई हमारा ब्रेन स्टॉर्म करें, हम क्या चाहते हैं, वो क्या कराची की क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, लाहौर की क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है. वी आर नॉट वर्किंग ऑन HEC हैज गिवन द करम, बस उसको पढ़ा दो. So these are the things which is very important, and with the advent of these technologies, we have to look at that particular
राइट. अल्ताफ मुकाती साहब, एक क्वेश्चन ये भी है कि इस वक्त ग्लोबली अगर हम बात करें, सोहेल साहब आप और ये भी हुमायूं साहब भी इससे एग्री करेंगे, ग्लोबली जब हम बात करते हैं तो इस वक्त जो मुख्तलिफ़ किस्म के जो डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ले लें, गूगल ले लें और इस तरह की ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ले लें, ये देखा गया है कि इस वक्त ट्रेंड जो है जॉब जो जिनको मिल रही है स्किल सेट पे मिल रही है. अगर आपके पास लेट्स से जनरेटिव एआई का स्किल सेट है तो दे डोंट आस्क अबाउट योर डिग्री कि जनाब आपका पीसी नंबर मौजूद है कि नहीं है और आपका रिकग्निशन था कि नहीं था. तो अब एकेडमिक से मैं ये सवाल पूछना चाहूँगा कि इसका मतलब क्या डिग्री की इम्पोर्टेंस ख़त्म हो गई है और स्किल सेट पर आना चाहिए? और इंडस्ट्री से यही सवाल मैं पूछूंगा कि फिर इंडस्ट्री के अंदर जो हायरिंग हो रही है, क्या आप डिग्री को बिल्कुल इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं देंगे और आप एक टेक्नीशियन ही को लेंगे? सर, पहले आप दोनों से.
देखें डॉक्टर ज़ुबैर, आपका जो सवाल है उसके लिए मुझे फिर आपको आधा घंटा कम से कम देना चाहिए, क्योंकि मैं इस वक्त जो है ना, मैं क्या बताऊं, आई एम फेसिंग सेवरल रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज़ विद देयर नॉनसेंस सॉर्ट ऑफ ऑर्डर्स एंड एवरीथिंग। अभी आप बताएं मुझे, वो आपकी बात सही है कि माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ने तो ओपनली अनाउंस किया है कि वी डोंट नीड डिग्रीज, वी नीड स्किल सेट्स, क्लियर है। लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि डिग्री की अहमियत ख़त्म हो गई है। देखें, वी नीड ऑल थ्री टाइप्स ऑफ पीपल। हमें स्किल सेट वाले भी चाहिए, हमें सर्टिफिकेट वाले भी चाहिए, डिप्लोमा वाले भी चाहिए, और हमको डिग्री वाले भी चाहिए। क्योंकि डिग्री बहरहाल यूनिवर्सिटी में आप जाते हैं, और यूनिवर्सिटी में अगर आप रिसर्च, बिकॉज मेरे नज़दीक तो मैंने अपनी स्पीच में कहा था कि यूनिवर्सिटी में अगर कोई नॉलेज जनरेशन नहीं होती तो वो यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं है, ठीक है। ये मेरा एक थिंकिंग है, मेरा माइंड सेट है ये। तो डिग्री की अपनी अहमियत है। अब आप ये देखें, शायद हमारे जो इंडस्ट्री में बैठे हुए हैं उनको अंदाज़ा नहीं है कि किस तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स हम लोग फेस करते हैं एकेडमिक्स में। यानी हमारे लिए तो एक जहाद हो गया है किसी यूनिवर्सिटी को चलाना। कंप्यूटिंग काउंसिल, एनसेक, आपने नाम सुना होगा, नेशनल कंप्यूटिंग एजुकेशन एक्रीडिटेशन काउंसिल, इतना बड़ा नाम है उनका। इनका विजन देखें आप। इंडिया जो है, इंडिया इस वक्त 195 बिलियन का आईटी और सॉफ्टवेयर एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा है, और अगले साल का उनका 220 बिलियन का टारगेट है, ठीक है। हमारा लेस देन 3 बिलियन है, उसमें भी फ्रीलांसर शामिल हैं, फ्रीलांसर भी शामिल हैं। अब एक हफ्ते पहले एनसेक वालों का लेटर आता है कि जी आप 100 स्टूडेंट से ज़्यादा नहीं पढ़ा सकते। मेरे पास 300 की कैपेसिटी है, मैं पिछले 5 साल से 300 स्टूडेंट्स को डिग्री दे रहा हूँ, और ऑल दे आर ऑन द जॉब्स। लेकिन इतना नैरो विजन है। इंडिया ने जब 1992 में अपनी आईटी पॉलिसी अनाउंस की थी, और उसको 2003 में जब रिफाइन किया था, तो इंडियन पॉलिसी में ये था, क्लियरली था कि जो यूनिवर्सिटीज़ इंडिया में हैं जिनके पास आईटी या सॉफ्टवेयर का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, कंप्यूटर का, हम प्रोवाइड करेंगे। और जिनके पास ऑलरेडी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर था उनको उन्होंने डबल किया, और उन्होंने टारगेट सेट किया कि अप टू सर्टेन टाइम हमें इतनी बिलियन की एक्सपोर्ट करनी है। तो वहाँ पे विजन था। हमारे यहाँ जैसे कहते हैं ना, ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस वो है ही नहीं यहाँ पर, जब भी हम एआई की बातें करते हैं। तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली जो ऊपर बैठे हुए हैं, मैं तो आपने कहा ना कि मैं तो आधा घंटा फर्दर बोल सकता हूँ। अभी एचईसी के भी कुछ इस तरह के लेटर आए हैं, वो कभी आपसे मैं अलग से डिस्कस करूँगा। तो ये प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। आप बात करते हैं कि हम इंडस्ट्री में और एकेडमिया में गैप को कम करें, अल्लाह करे ऐसा हो, लेकिन ऊपर जो बैठे हैं उनका विजन ही कुछ और है। ये वो लोग हैं जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली, अब मुझे पता नहीं कहना चाहिए कि नहीं कहना चाहिए, लेकिन ये लोग मोदी साहब का काम आसान कर रहे हैं पाकिस्तान में।
वली साहब, आप ऐड कर दें कुछ।
अच्छा, मुकादम साहब ने वही बात की जो अभी मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले कही थी कि बिकॉज वी आर वेरी ओवर रेगुलेटेड, और जब वहाँ पे इतनी ओवर रेगुलेशंस हो तो वो काफ़ी चीज़ें जो है वो उस तरह से नहीं हो पाती। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा मसला रहा है हमारे पॉलिसी मेकर्स का। तो इस पे हमें सबको सोचना चाहिए, वरना यह है कि हमारी जो पॉजिटिव चीज़ें भी हैं हम उसको जो है वो डिग्रेड करते जा रहे हैं। और जहाँ पे मैंने कहा ना कि क्विक डिसीजन लेने की ज़रूरत है, कि अगर हमारे पास जहाँ पे ज़रूरत है और हमने उस तरह से अपने आप को अडॉप्ट नहीं किया, तो वो काफ़ी चीज़ें जो है वो पीछे रह जाएंगे। लेकिन एक जो सवाल आपने कहा कि डिग्री और सर्टिफिकेट के बारे में, मुझे ये बताएं कि अमेरिका में कितनी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ ने अपनी डिग्रियां बंद कर दी हैं, देना बंद कर दी हैं। कोई यूनिवर्सिटी ऐसी है कि जिन्होंने कहा कि नहीं आज से हम सर्टिफिकेट देंगे, हम डिग्री नहीं देंगे? तो इससे आपको अंदाज़ा होता है कि डिग्री की क्या वैल्यू है। बिकॉज ये डिग्री नहीं होती, एक पूरा इन्वायरमेंट होता है यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर, एक कल्चर होता है जहाँ पे सिर्फ एक स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से नहीं बताया, बल्कि एक ओवरऑल ग्रूमिंग हो रही होती है। उससे लिहाज से वो बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज़ हो रही होती हैं, उसके लिहाज से रिसर्च भी हो रही होती है, उससे डिफरेंट जो है वो डायमेंशन में डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज़ चल रही होती हैं। तो जब वो डिग्री लेता है तो उसकी जो बेस होती है वो बड़ी स्ट्रांग होती है, और वो अडॉप्ट कर सकता है सर्टिफिकेशंस के साथ। डेफिनेटली सर्टिफिकेशन ज़रूरत है उसको टूल्स यूज़ करने के। मसलन अगर मुझे कहीं जाना है तो मुझे गाड़ी तो ज़रूरत है, तो लेकिन जो है कि उसके लिहाज से कि गाड़ी बनी कैसे, क्यों हुआ, वो एक अलग हुआ है।
ठीक है,
तो
ठीक
ये
है।
इसका तो ये मेरे ख्याल से इसको जाना में बड़ा कंफ्यूज कर देते हैं कि भाई सर्टिफिकेशन
ठीक है।
और सिर्फ आखिरी उस पे बात पे, इंडिया क्यों आगे बढ़ा है? वो सर्टिफिकेशन पे बढ़ा है कि डिग्री से बढ़ा है? आईटी के अंदर एमआईटी के लोग सर्टिफिकेशन में बढ़े हैं कि डिग्री से बढ़े हैं?
वेल मैं जो वर्ड जो है वो सर्टिफिकेशन के बजाय स्किल सेट की बात कर रहा हूँ, यानी डिग्री एंड स्किल सेट। जी सर, आप हमारे साथ।
बिल्कुल सही है। अच्छा, मैं थोड़ा सा यहाँ पर एक मिसनोमर हो गया। हम ये डिग्रीज की जब हम बात करें तो नोबडी इज डिग्रेडिंग द डिग्री इटसेल्फ। असल में डिग्री के पीछे क्या नॉलेज बेस जिसके ऊपर आ रही है वो अभी हमें जो जैसे आपने कहा कि यूनिवर्सिटीज़ जो हैं वो नॉलेज क्रिएशन का सेंटर्स होने चाहिए। वो अभी नॉलेज क्रिएशन जो है वो मेरा ख्याल है इतनी नहीं हो रही है जितनी कि यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में होनी चाहिए। और जो स्पेशली जो इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज़ और जो नए सब्जेक्ट्स आ रहे हैं, जो नई फील्ड्स पे जिनकी ज़रूरत है आजकल, उनकी तरफ हमें यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को नए प्रोग्राम्स करने चाहिए। अब ये बात बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं आप लोग कि जो मुख्तलिफ़ तरीके से पाबंदियाँ और कदगन लगाई जा रही है यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के ऊपर कि आप ये नहीं करें, ये नहीं करें और ये करें और ये करें, मेरा ख्याल है ये इस हिसाब से जो कि बहुत अच्छी प्रोएक्टिव और प्रोग्रेसिव यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, वक्त आ गया है कि वो रिबेल भी बन जाएं। उनको रिबेलियन करने की ज़रूरत है अगेंस्ट दीज पॉलिसी मेकर्स, बिकॉज इस वक्त डेफिनेटली न सिर्फ एकेडमिक बल्कि और बहुत सारी पॉलिसीज़ गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे जो ऐसी हैं जो कि काउंटर प्रोडक्टिव बल्कि मैं कहता हूँ डिस्ट्रक्टिव हैं फॉर पाकिस्तान। तो मेरा ख्याल है आई थिंक दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द टाइम कि जब हमें थोड़ा सा रिबेल करने की ज़रूरत है इन पॉलिसीज़ के ख़िलाफ़। और देखें जब भी इंडस्ट्री में या आप बिज़नेस में देखेंगे यूनिवर्सिटीज़ की जो इस तरह की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं उनकी आउटपुट जब आएंगी और उनको एक्सेप्टेंस मिलेगी तो वो पॉलिसी मेकर्स खुद ब खुद अपनी पॉलिसीज़ को चेंज करने पर मजबूर हो जाएंगे।
ठीक है, थैंक यू। मैं सोहेल साहब आपसे चाहूँगा कि आप इस क्वेश्चन को आंसर करें इंडस्ट्री पर्सपेक्टिव से भी और गवर्नमेंट के पर्सपेक्टिव से भी, दोनों पर्सपेक्टिव
मैं
से।
तीनों से कर रहा हूँ।
चलें।
देखिए, एकेडमिया जो है ना वो हमारा फ्यूचर है, प्रेजेंट नहीं है। क्योंकि वहाँ से जो बंदा काम कर रहा है वो इस वक्त पढ़ रहा है, वो काम नहीं कर रहा है इंडस्ट्री में आके। उसको जो विजन दे, उसमें हमें 3 स्किल्स चाहिए एकेडमिया से। एक वो जो अल्लामा इकबाल हो, जो विजन दे, ख्वाब देखे, उसके लिए हमें डिग्री चाहिए, उसके लिए नॉलेज चाहिए, विजन चाहिए। दूसरी स्किल सेट हमें चाहिए जो उस ख्वाब को इम्प्लीमेंट कर सके। और तीसरी वो चाहिए जो रोबोटिक टाइप हो, यानी हम जो प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है। तो हमारी 3 स्किल सेट्स हैं। अगर आप समझने, अगर इस पे कोई सवाल हो ज़रूर पूछ लें, लेकिन 3 स्किल सेट चाहिए। तो डिग्री वाला जो है वो कभी भी नीचे नहीं जाएगा, वो पीएचडी या वो पढ़े। अब वो डिपेंड करता है कि पीएचडी कैसे बन रहा है, एचईसी से बन रहा है या कहाँ से बन रहा है, तो उसके पास कितनी विजन है। देखिए, शायर विजन क्रिएट करता है। ये 1000 दास्तान पता नहीं एक किताब थी कब लिखी गई कि उड़न खटोला होगा, ये होगा, तो वो एक डिग्री वाला था या विजनरी था, उसने बनाया। आज सारे उड़न खटोला भी बन गए, ग्लोब भी बन गया, सब कुछ बन गया, आप इंटरनेट देख रहे हैं, सब देख रहे हैं। तो somebody has to create a vision. This skill set is related to degree and philosophers. Then second is people like me, those who are trying to take this knowledge and trying to implement it on the ground. And then I need workers. And that is called, जो आपका जुमला है ज़ुबैर साहब का कि स्किल्स, क्योंकि उसके लिए स्किल चाहिए। मैं तो ज़बानी बोल दिया कि भाई ये पानी दे दो, अब पानी देने का तरीका है, उसके लिए एक वर्कर को स्किल चाहिए कि इसमें से पानी गिरे नहीं, गिलास के नीचे टस्टरी हो या कोई वो हो। और स्किल सेट अगर ऐसी है कि किसी नौकर से आपने कहा कि हर चीज़ ट्रे में रख के लाया करो, तो वो आपके जूते भी ट्रे में रख के ले आए, तो ये स्किल सेट नहीं है ना। तो कहने का मकसद है स्किल सेट इज़ अ प्रोडक्टिविटी इन रियल सेंस, प्रोसेस के थ्रू प्रोडक्टिविटी। तो ये वो चीज़ है जो स्किल सेट, जो कि हमारे एक ज़माने में होते थे कि बीटेक वाले ये काम करते थे, इंजीनियरिंग वाले ये काम करते थे, और हायर एजुकेशन में सोचा जाता था, रिसर्च होती थी, पेपर पर रिसर्च। हमें तीनों चीज़ें चाहिए। डोंट ट्राई टू आइसोलेट एंड ट्राई टू कम्पीट दीज थिंग। एक लीडर होता है, एक उसका फॉलोअर होता है, एक उसका नारे लगाने वाला होता है, एक उसका इम्प्लीमेंट करने वाला था। यह हर जगह चाहिए। तो कहने का मकसद है कि इसमें ना डिग्री की अहमियत कम हो रही है, ना मैनेजमेंट की कम हो रही, ना रोबोट्स की। रोबोट्स वो हैं जो हम जिनको सुबह ओवर टाइम पे रखते हैं, 7 बजे आओ, ये मोटर का तरीका है, ये प्रोसेस है, शाम को इतनी मोटरें बना के चले जाओ या कपड़े सी के चले जाओ। हमारा मसला सिर्फ अना का है, जो HEC में बैठे हैं जिनके ऊपर वो आधा घंटा तकरीर करने चाहें, उनकी अना इतनी ऊपर है। मैं IBA के बोर्ड पे, हबीब यूनिवर्सिटी के बोर्ड पे 16 साल मैंने सर्व किया। तो वहाँ ईगो ऐसी है, हमें पता है कि हम अकले कुल हैं।
Come to Dr. Muqati साहब।
मैंने एक इसी तरह के फोरम पे यही सवाल का जवाब दिया था कि पाकिस्तान को हायर एजुकेशन सिस्टम से बहुत पहले लोअर एजुकेशन सिस्टम पे जोर देना चाहिए था। और वो जो आपने बड़े साफ़ सुथरे अल्फाज में बात की, मैं थोड़ा सा कि जो गार्बेज इन है वो गार्बेज आउट होगा, ठीक है ना। हमें जो इनपुट मिलेगा अंडर ग्रेड लेवल पे एट द टाइम ऑफ एडमिशन्स, हम उस पर कितनी पॉलिश करेंगे, कितना उसका लेवल ऊपर करेंगे। तो ना हाँ, तो मैं यही बात को सपोर्ट करता हूँ कि लोअर एजुकेशन की ज़्यादा ज़रूरत थी ताकि एक अच्छा इनपुट मिले यूनिवर्सिटी को। अभी वली साहब को पता है, मैं और वली साहब एक ही यूनिवर्सिटी में थे बॉस्टन में, इनको पता है कि मास्टर लेवल पर हमारी क्लास में अगर 100 स्टूडेंट्स हैं तो हार्डली 20 अमेरिकन थे, बाकी सारे इंटरनेशनल। और PhD लेवल पे तो शायद वो 20 में से भी 4 या 5 रह जाते हैं जो लोकल वहाँ के हैं। तो एक्चुअली तो अंडर ग्रेड स्टडीज़ होती है जो एक ब्रॉड आपको स्पेक्ट्रम देती है, और जिनमें रिसर्च एप्टीट्यूड होता है वो फिर ऊपर चले जाते हैं। द थिंग इज़ के क्वेश्चन अगेन कि HEC जो है उसकी ओवर रेगुलेशंस ने सारी यूनिवर्सिटियों को तबाह किया हुआ है, ठीक है। हमारा जो वर्ड है यूनिवर्सिटी, ये यूनिवर्स से निकला है। हमारा अपना चार्टर्ड है, वी आर एम्पावर्ड टू ऑफर एनी प्रोग्राम, वी कैन मॉडिफाई एनी प्रोग्राम, वी कैन डेवलप द करिकुलम एट अवर ओन। लेकिन जी HEC कहती है नहीं, ये हम गाइडलाइन दे रहे हैं, ये आपने करना है। इसका मतलब कि हमारे चार्टर की कोई वैल्यू नहीं है।
आपसे बात करना चाहूँगा आखिर में, जैसा मेरा एक पॉइंट है जो कि इस पैनल डिस्कशन का टॉपिक था, AI और ख़ासतौर पे जनरेटिव AI। मेरे ख्याल से उस पर हमें एज ए सबको ही, चाहे इंडस्ट्री हो, चाहे गवर्नमेंट हो, चाहे यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हो, बिकॉज़ ये एक ऐसा एवेन्यू है जिसको कि हमारी इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस को चेंज कर सकता है। और जिस तरह से हमारी 60% यूथ है, इसके लिहाज से, और जिस तरह से ये बहुत बड़ी इंडस्ट्री है, यदि कहा जाए इसके सिर्फ AI नहीं बल्कि इससे जो ऑफशूट्स है जो कि यूज़ करेंगे AI टूल्स को, जैसे मैंने ड्राइवरलेस कार की बताई, या रोबोटिक्स हो गया, या बहुत सारे उसके IoT हो गया, ये एक बहुत बड़ी जो है वो जॉब नई क्रिएशन हो रही है, और जिसमें कि हम पेनिट्रेट कर सकते हैं अगर हमने अभी से अपने आप को सही डायरेक्शंस में लिया। वरना जैसे कि बहुत सारी जॉब्स जैसे बताई कि ये बहुत सारी, जैसे अभी मुझे किसी एक सॉफ्टवेयर हाउस की बात हो रही थी कि जहाँ पे 250 कंटेंट राइटर्स थे, और उन्होंने उसमें से 200 को फारिग कर दिया और अभी 50 रह गए बिकॉज ऑफ दिस जनरेटिव AI टूल्स। तो ये चीज़ें हैं कि बहुत तेज़ी से चेंज होंगी। तो ये अगर हमने अभी से इस एरिया पे अगर फोकस नहीं किया, या इसे ऑफशूट एरियाज़ हैं, और जाहिर है कि किसको इनिशिएट करना है, बिज़नेस को किसको गाइड करना है, रिसर्च जिसको करनी है, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स जिसको प्रोड्यूस करना है, वो है यूनिवर्सिटीज़। तो इसमें मेरे ख्याल से इंडस्ट्री को भी यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ मिलना होगा। इनडायरेक्टली मैं ये कहूँगा कि इन्वेस्टमेंट भी करनी होगी इंडस्ट्री को भी, गवर्नमेंट को भी, इसलिए कि बाहर की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ की हम बात तो बहुत करते हैं, लेकिन अगर बड़ी बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ भी देखा जाए तो दे रिलाई 20% ऑन द ट्यूशन्स, 80% फ्रॉम द अदर सोर्सेज। जबकि हमारे यहाँ पे जो है वो हम एक्सपेक्टेशन से बहुत कर रहे होते हैं यूनिवर्सिटीज़ से, लेकिन अगर फंडिंग देखा जाए तो मेरे ख्याल से 5% या 2% से भी ज़्यादा नहीं बन रही होती। और फिर एक्सपेक्ट हम वही रिजल्ट चाहते हैं कि हम MIT की भी बात करें, हार्वर्ड की भी बात करें और उसकी बातें करें। तो अनलेस इसको परसेप्शन चेंज नहीं करेगी इंडस्ट्री के, ठीक है कि हम कुछ नहीं मिलेगा हमें, वीज़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट में भी आपको 5 साल 10 साल के बाद यही आपको वो जो है वो करेगी। तो ये मेरा पॉइंट है।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो वेरी मच। सोहेल वजाद साहब आपका बहुत शुक्रिया, हुमायूं ज़फ़र साहब, डॉक्टर वली साहब, डॉक्टर अल्ताफ़ मुकाती साहब, आप तमाम पैनलिस्ट का बहुत शुक्रिया। मैं ये उसको वाइंड अप करते हुए ये बता दूं कि जब मैंने ग्रेजुएशन किया था तो एक बड़े लंबे अरसे तक मैंने सोहेल वजाद साहब के अंडर में काम किया था, और उसके बाद फिर मैंने अल्ताफ़ मुकाती साहब के साथ काम किया था, और उसके बाद फिर मैंने डॉक्टर वली साहब के साथ काम किया था। और इस वक्त मैं जो कुछ भी हूँ इनसे मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा है। जो मेरे अंदर क्वालिटीज़ हैं इनमें इन तीनों साहिबान का एक बहुत बड़ा रोल है, और जो मेरे अंदर खामियाँ हैं वो मेरी अपनी खामियाँ हैं। थैंक यू सो वेरी मच सर, थैंक यू।